Hi everyone, Salesforce Development Day 4. Now let's see what are we going to learn today. So today's agenda is we will quickly go through the previous session overview and then we'll talk about a few more additional tags, visual force tags. We will talk about additional visual force tag and we will see requirement. The first tag which we will talk about the Apex colon page block section, and also we will talk about the Apex colon command button, and we will see the requirement, and then we will talk about the merge fields and what is the merge field syntax, and we will talk about the Apex form and page block buttons, and then we will finally have a homework and target link. Right, so this is the agenda. So let's see, what did we learn in last class? What did we learn in last class?
Apex page, Apex page, visual force
Initialize
name,
methods,
properties of visual
JSON generator.
Right. So last class we have implemented. So we have created the case. In order to create a visual force, you have clicked on a file, new, and the visual force page. But in case if you want to view, now here the visual force pages are not displaying here. Now in case if you want to view the visual force pages that you have created last time, so click on your file, click on this time open resource. Open resource, and what are the visual force pages that you have created. In case if you have so many visual force pages, click on a star dot VFP. VFP is a extension. Now last class we have implemented a display list, as well as again click on the file open resource. This time click on the page block. So these two were created last session. Now in the last session, we have seen the Apex page block, help title within the attributes within the page block. We have seen these attributes, help title, help URL title. This is what we have seen, right? So, and we have executed, and this is showing similar to the whatever the classic view is there, it is displaying similar to the classic view. Similar to the classic view. Now, today we are going to learn few more. Today we are going to learn few more. Now, so let's see what are the few more. First one is the Apex page block section. Apex page block section. Now for Apex page block section, what is this Apex page block section? Now we know that Apex page, and within that we know Apex page block section. Now let me open the page. Now, last time we have implemented a page. This is the page. In this page, let's say I have added the information, which is a general information. There is a page block is created. This is the on top, it is a visual force page. And then within that, we have created a block. This is one block. And in this block, we have created a title, let's say general information, And here I have something called as a help, kind of a more info or some help will be there. More info, help. Right, this is the more info help. So kind of this, it was that. Now, this one is, what are the on black one is there, which is a Apex colon page, which is a Apex colon page. And inside that, if I want to create a block, Then we have to build another one within the Apex page. We have to build it. One more thing which is called as a Apex colon page block. Apex colon page block. Now this is we know. Again inside the block, I wanted to create a few sections. Now here one section and here another section. Just a second.
Ma'am, you are on mute.
Sorry. So here we have a Apex page block. Now within the page block, assume that I need a section here. I need a few sections which are required. Here. So this is one section, this is another section. Assume that. So we have a page. Within the page, we have a page block. Inside the page block, there is a header general information I have mentioned here. And then there is a help title, help URL. Within this, in case if I want a section. For example, here I wanted section, which I want the person details. I want the person information. I need a person information. And then here, for example, I wanted to add a basic information. Here, I wanted to add a basic information. Now, person information, within the person information, again, I wanted to add few details. Now, name of the person, right? And then name of phone number. I can add it here or I can add it below the name also. I can add it below the name. For example, like this, I wanted to add. In this case, as soon as I create a page block, within the page block, I can mention the title, I can mention the help URL and help title. But if I wanted to create a section, how can I create a section? Now, for example, I wanted to create this section. In order to create this section, what we are going to use is, we are going to use another tag which is called as a Apex colon page block section. Page block section. Apex colon page block section. Now this is the one. Now yesterday, whatever I have given the assignment, are you guys are able to do it? Nikhil, have you done the assignment? Is everybody done the assignment? How about others? Nikhil, Sneha? Okay. So if you have already done, you should be aware of this thing, what we are doing right now. Now inside this page block, I'm going to add the page block section, right? So what is page block section? Now let's go and understand the theory part of it. So it's a visual force tag, and here by using the page block section, we can use the visual force page to create a subsection within the page block. Now here on top, we have a Apex page. Within that, we have a Apex page block. And within that, we have a Apex page block section. Now page block section. Now page block section, let's decode it. Whenever we decode the page block section, now here we are going to get Apex colon page block section, which is an open visual force tag, and we have a closer one, close visual force tag. And within the open visual force tag, title, we have a title called title is the attribute. Now here before the colon, Apex is a prefix namespace. And what are the page block section is the page block section is a component name, and within that whatever the attributes we have. So those attributes are, these are the attributes. For example, title is the attribute. Now if you want to take a notes, please take it. So Apex page block section. Now we will discuss that how many page blocks can be added. Take a notes of it. Let me know once it is done. Okay, so let's move on. So this is the decode. Decode is open Visual Force tag and close Visual Force tag. Within that, we have a prefix namespace is a Apex and component name is a page block section. And within that, we have a attributes. There are different attributes are there. Okay. Case sensitive, yes, let me show you that what is a case sensitive. Sometimes it is not a case sensitive. Visual Force page is not case sensitive. What are the tags are there? Now here we have a different attributes. One is a title. We know the title is nothing but to display the text. And another attribute which we have a column. Column is basically how many columns do you want to display in the section. For example, here I wanted to display the two columns. Here I wanted to display the two columns. For example, if you want to display the three columns, here you have a name, phone, and this side email, or you wanted to display the four columns. It's up to you. So it's up to developer how they wanted to design it. In case whatever the column length is there, they can specify the integer. So column is equal to, for example, if you say column equal to 3, then 3 columns will be created within the section. 3 columns will be created within the section. And then ID is, yesterday we have seen ID is nothing but it is a identifier that allows the page block session component to be referenced by the another component page. And this is a string. You can add any name into the ID. You can add any name into the ID. Take a notes of it. Okay, so let's see the requirement. Once this is done, we will go with the requirement. Done. Okay, so let's see the requirement. The requirement is general information. I wanted to add a page. Inside the page, the block is a general information. Within that, I need to add a section which is called as a registration information and basic information. Registration information and the basic information, and here we have a contact details. Let's go ahead and implement this. Now, in order to create a new Visual Force page, I'll take a file, new Visual Force page. Let's say that I'm creating here PF_PageBlockSection. PageBlockSection. Now, by default, apex::page gets displayed. By default, apex::page gets displayed. Now, what are things I need to add it within this? First, I need to add page block, right? So before that, this is just information in case if you want to add a comments in the Visual Force page. In case if you want to add a comments, how can you add a comments? You can add a comments by giving the less than exclamation dash. This is the comment, right? So after exclamation, you need to add it to hyphen here, and at the end hyphen close one, which is a greater than. So in this, you can add a comments, whatever you wanted to add, you can add. For example, now this, I need to add a general information. Similarly, once the general information is done, then within this, I wanted to add two sections. I wanted to add two sections, which is a registration information, and below that also I wanted to add one more less than exclamation slash and then slash greater than. One more I need to add it, which is a basic information. Now these are the information I need to add. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and add the, for information, I'm going to add the page block, apex::page block. Now here capital B it is showing the capital B. Now I'll take a small b, page block, right? I have taken the small one, which is a page block. Now this page block, what is the title for this page block? Title is general information. And then I have a help title equal to, now the title is, let's say, contact details. Now URL, help URL, because whenever we add a title, help URL is mandatory. Help URL equal to, let's say that I'm going to give https://www.salesforce.com. I'm just giving this some random URL. Now within this, I have to add a registration, and then I have to add a basic information. Now, how many page blocks can I add it? How many can I add it? Now, if I keep on repeating it, can I repeat this? You can add multiple. If you click on a preview, it is going to show you that multiple information. right? Multiple information it is going to show you. You can add as many as maximum in the real time. Hardly we go for either 10 or a 15 page blocks. Either 10 or 15 page blocks, not more than that. In real time, what we are going to do is either we are going to go for maximum 10 or 15 because that is a very huge. If it is more than that, maybe it might go to the 20. If you are going more than that, that means you are making your page complicated. Right? You are making the page complicated. Now, if you see here, now this is whatever you have added, at least 10 you have added. As soon as you add the 10, almost your page seems to be full. Now, again, within the page block, you need to add a page block section. So if you add a 10 page block, that means there's so much content within the page block. So the person has to keep on scrolling down. So that's the reason in the real time, what we will make sure is at least maximum we will go for a 10 page blocks or a 5 page blocks, and then we will have a navigation which gets implemented. We will implement the navigation part later, but for now we are going with only one page block. In the real time, maximum we will go for a 10. Maximum we will go for a 10. And within this, I'm going to add a registration form. I'm going to add registration information. Now here, apex colon, page block section. I'm going to add page block section. Now inside this page block section, what is the title? Title is a registration information. Title equal to registration information. Registration information. Similarly, I'm going to add one more page block section, which is a basic information. Apex colon, page block section.
Ma'am, why this equal to comes when we directly select from the drop down?
Directly?
Select from the drop down. Like right now, as you directly select from drop down, so it comes equal to.
Yeah.
Select.
That is actually issue with the visual course page, because when you say here page, you are just saying a page, and as soon as you select this one, it will not take. It will not take because system will not be, Salesforce will not understand what is that exactly. So either you need to give exact meaning of exact name of that. When you have at least one option, you can take it. But if you choose it from here, once you have written this, like if you write till this point, at least full length of text should be matching it. Full length of text should be matching it. Now here page block is matching. If you select it, it will take it. But again, assume that if I click on this page button, it will match it. If I click on this, it will match it. But if you give just, there are so many are there, just you have written the P. Just you have written the P. On this P, there are so many are there. So if you select this, sometimes it will not be taking that because it could not be able to identify the information. It will not be identifying the information. Right? It has to be. Sometimes it is identifying it, sometimes it is not identifying it. So whenever system will not be identifying anything, then that time it will come as a equal to double quotes. So that's the issue with the visual course. And here we will take title equal to basic information. Basic information. Click on save. Now what I have done is I have written the page block within page block, and within that we have written the page block section. Within that we have written the page block section. Now if you see the output will be displayed as a whatever we have discussed, right? So here it is the general information. I have a contact details, and here it is the two section, which is a collapsible, which is a expanded. You can expand and you can collapse. These default features are added by the Salesforce. These are the default features that gets added by the Salesforce. Whatever the collapse or expandable is there. Because if you see in the classic view also same thing is there. Now let me switch to the classic. Click on switch to classic. Now, if you go to the any record, let's say that in the account, where do we have the closable sections? Now let me go to the opportunity. If I go to the opportunity detail section, now here it is. So you can make it collapsible and you can make it expandable. The same feature gets applied to the visual force. Whenever you implement a page block section, same feature gets applied. So this is a default feature with the Salesforce, right? Even if you see wherever you have a section, wherever you have an arrow mark, you can collapse it and you can expand it. So the same feature gets updated here, added here. Now, one question here. So whatever the page block section is there, right? Can I write this page block section outside of the page block? No, I do not want to write within the page block. I wanted to write outside of the page block section. Save this. If I save this, what will happen is it will save. Compilation is perfectly fine, right? So as soon as we click on a save button, the first thing what will happen, it will go to the page compiler. Here we have a page compiler. The page compiler is saved perfectly fine. It did not give the any error. It sent to the page compiler. Compiler has given to the metadata. Compiler has given to the metadata. Now the situation came where we need to execute it. I need to click on an execute button. As soon as I click on a preview button, now during the execution, we will see an error. That means when the visual force is actually executing it, because we have a page builder below. Now what this builder will take it, it will ask, did you compile it? Yes, it is compiled. So then next time it is go to the metadata file. Do you have a compiled page? Yes, it is having a compiled page. Then it will respond to this. Now during the executing this, during the execution of this, now what will happen is during the execution of this, now I'm going to, we have a certain things are there. Now here during the execution, it will throw an error to the person. Whenever the person is viewing the output, the person will be able to see there is an error during the execution. There is an error during the execution. There is an error during the execution. So right now we are seeing the error here. Page block section component must be contained within the page block component, within the page block component. Now that means it is expecting that compilation is safe, but it's not right way to implement a logic. It is not right way to implement a logic. It has to be within the page block. It has to be within the page block. It has to be within the page block, right? Now, if you want to add a multiple page blocks, you can add it. For example, here you have added the general information. Below you want to add a contact information. Copy that, paste it below contact information. And let's say that this is a more details and this is a contact details. And here we need a personal information. And next we need a address details. Address details. Same thing about details I have copied. About details I have copied. Click on a save. Click on it, save. Now the output here it is. I can see general information, contact information. Within that I have a different options are there, right? Now I can expand it, close it, whatever is there. Right now, whatever this color is there, by default it is a black. By default it is a black, right? By default it is a black. But in case if you want to change it, you can change. There is a way of changing it. We will see later. Right? So here, now this is by default, it is displaying the black color, but it will be updated. If you want a different color or anything you wanted to make changes, or if you want to change up this font, text, anything is that which is possible using the CSS, Now this is execution which is happened. Any questions on this?
Ma'am, I had a question, not related to this one, but
Yes.
somewhat related to yesterday's assignment. So basically, yesterday we had this header, and I was trying to just align that to the center. And I used header one tag, but somehow when I used the align center tag inside the header one tag, it was not getting aligned in the center.
Okay.
But when I used div tag and text alignment value as center, it was coming into the center. So I just wanted to understand what is the difference between this div and h1 tag, why it wasn't displaying that in the center of the screen when I was putting that alignment center tag inside the h1 tag.
Can you paste your code there?
Yeah, sure.
And one more thing, whenever you are playing with the styling, what is the best way to play the styling is just right click on this and you have an option here, inspect. You have a option here, inspect. If you click on inspect, what will happen is there is a console gets open. What you need to do is right click on this, inspect. When you inspect it, there is a console that gets open, and beside the console, you have something called as a elements. Now you just hover this. For example, I wanted to check this, what is happening here. Now click on this. Just click on that particular text, click on inspect. Now this is the highlighted one. Now H2 main title contact. Now here it is displaying the color is a 00 hash 00, it is displaying it. Now I wanted to change the color of it. Now what I can do is on top here you have a style. So if you want to make changes to this color equal to, you wanted to make some different colors, you wanted to make it. Right? So for example, you wanted to add this red blue color, I wanted to add it. So what you can do is before you adding the logic into the developer console or before adding the logic into your code, try to play with the styles and whatever the coloring or whatever you wanted, try to play here so that you can immediately see the result. What is the difference if I use it there and this one. Right? And if I say here, text align. Now I'm adding the text align here. Now text align is, I'll say center end, right? So it is just going only, when I say center, it's just going to till up to here. It's not even going there. Now what is the meaning of center? It is going to here. Now I wanted to check what is the length of that. The length of that is only up to here. The length of this title is only up to here, right? Now, if I put a text align equal to center, but I'm expecting the center means this one. But what is the length of the title? The title length is only up to here because this is everything is converted into the table. This everything, whatever we have written the page block, this is the page block. When we executed the page block, in the UI, Salesforce will convert that page block into the table. In this table, this is one column, and then we have another column here, and then we have another column here, then finally we have another column this side. Right? Now, if I over this first column, now I wanted to make this contact information here in the center. Now I have already added text align equal to center. What is this mean text align equal to center? Which means within the column, whatever the column length is there, within the column, just make it a center. Within the column, just make it a center. So that is just going to text align is nothing but it is not going to change any of your column length. Any of your column length, it is not going to change. Right? It is going to change whatever the column length is there. Within the column length, it will adjust the center. It will adjust the center. But if you take a different scenario here, if you take a different one, now float equal to right. If you say float equal to right here, now text align center, I'll remove this. I'll remove the text align center. Float. Now float, I wanted to make it as a, now here, now if I take the different floats here, now I'm taking the float, but what is happening? It doesn't come out of the column. It's not even coming out of the column. The length itself is only up to this, only till this point, because the length of the column is only here till this point. Now, what are the page block is there? Page block, Salesforce is divide that into the HTML format. Page block is nothing but a table. In the table, it will divide the, by default, it will divide based on the whatever the data we are giving it. Based on that, it will divide into the certain columns. Whatever the limit of the column is there, whatever the style you are adding it there, it will play within the column only. Within the column, it is going to be play. It will not come out of that column. It will not come out of the column. Right? Now, for example, if you say here div, now I'll say here div is nothing but what? Div is complete section. Div is complete section. Now, if you put the div complete section, that means from the starting to end. Now, here hover this div, now it is taking the div complete section, it is taking. But if I hover just a title, title is just taking only that part. It's a column. Now, if you observe this, no. So whatever we have written the logic, now we have written the logic of just 4 to 6 lines. But what Salesforce does it? Salesforce is converted into the maximum 20 lines, which is a system understandable format. Now div is nothing but a complete section. Div is nothing but a complete section. It is taking the header here. Div is header. Now within that, what are the page block is there, which is a table. And within the table, I have a body. Right, within the body, I have a row. This is the first row. Within the row, I have a one column, and the second column is 2. It's a we just added only 2 details. So that's the reason it is taking the one column, and in between it is added the space, and there is another column which is added. Another column which is added. In this column, it is automatically taking the left and added the title. Right? So class equal to help. What is this help? Help equal to, now Salesforce is converted the help title and help URL in the form of class. Whatever the title is there, it is converted into the class which is called as a help. Now here it is saying that text align equal to right. Now if I say text align equal to left, now it will display in the left. It will display in the left. Now behind that header title or help URL or help title, behind that Salesforce is also writing a logic. So what Salesforce does is Salesforce simply take whatever we have implemented. Now here I am writing a single word, but back end of this Salesforce is writing some 100 lines of code or some 10 lines of code and different styles they have implemented. So they will convert into the understandable format. So div is a complete section, and when you go to into the page block, which is nothing but a table, within the table we have a column, right? Within the table we have a row, within the row we have a column. So based on the column, then it is going to behave the adjustment within that. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so always play here in the front end, then try to add the details here. So that's what in the real time we do it. So whenever we wanted to add any styling, what we will do is first we will try to play here. We will add here element dot style. So in the style, whatever I wanted to make a changes, first I'll add here the details, right? I'll add the details here, what are the font size or whatever it is there. Now here I'm going to add it. Now we will try to play with this. What is happening if I add a different information, like if I add a oblique, now how it is displaying the details. So we will try to play here. Once we are sure that this is working fine, then we are going to add the same styling into the development in the Visual Force page. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. Now this is additional changes which we have already done it. We have added the contact information. We have added the person details. We have added the address details. Right. Next one, we have a command button. Next tag is command button. Now the command button is nothing but, now so far whatever we have implemented, page block section, we have implemented. But now I wanted to add a one button. I wanted to add one button here. Assume that we have so many buttons are there. So many buttons are there, like a save button, cancel button, new button. What are the buttons are there? Now, if you go to the Salesforce, and as soon as you click on this, click on any object here, you will see new button. Now, as soon as you click on this record, you will see edit button, right? And modify edit button, and then delete button. These are the buttons you will see. Now, same similar concept I wanted to implement here, adding a button on the page block. I want to add a button on the page block. So if you want to add a button on the page block, so what we will do is we will use the command called --command button. We will use Visual Force tag called --command button. We have a --command button. We will add --command button. Now this command button tag is a Visual Force tag, and why we are using it, it is used in a Visual Force page to display the button on the page, Take a note of it, command button. Done. Okay. Now decoding of the command button is we have a open --command button and close of the command button. Open Visual Force tag, close Visual Force tag. Now within that we have a before the colon prefix namespace, and we have a command button which is called as a component name. Now within that we have a attributes. There are different attributes out there. Now here just example, we have written the title, but there are different attributes out there. This is the decode. I think by now you guys will be aware of the decoding of the any Visual Force page tag. Right, you can decode any Visual Force page tag. Now there are attributes in the command button. The first one is a value. Value is what is the text that needs to be displayed on the button. What is the text that needs to be displayed on the button? Now, do you want to display the text here? New text you wanted to display, or you wanted to display save text here? What is the text that needs to be displayed here? What is the text that needs to be displayed is decided by the value. Value is going to give you the information, what is the data needs to be displayed on the button. And the next one, which is called as an action. Action is basically what action we need to do it. What action do we have to do? Now, in the action, we will provide a merge fields. Now, we will talk about the merge fields later, but in action, we will provide a merge fields. Now, sometimes you wanted to call the default Salesforce action. When I say default Salesforce action, we have a save button. Now, whenever you click on an edit, for example, you are clicking on the edit button or you are creating a new record, you have a default functionality of save. Or you wanted to execute, you wanted to add a button which is a default functionality of cancel. Or you wanted to add a default functionality of new button. Default functionality of new button. So we have some standard Salesforce button. In case if you want to add a standard Salesforce button here, then what we will do is with the help of merge fields. With the help of merge fields, we are going to add the standard button, or else if you want to implement in the Apex, some action you wanted to implement in the Apex class, then you can implement that method and you can call that logic into the Visual Force page. So we will see different ways of calling the actions, but remember that action is nothing but we are going to perform some action there. We are going to perform. Either I'm going to create a new record, either I'm going to update a new record, or I'm going to edit a record, I'm going to cancel record. These are the default actions, default Salesforce button. But apart from the default, if you want to use your own button, no, I don't want to go with the default save button. I wanted to implement my own save methodology. So you can implement that logic in the Apex class and you can call that logic into the Visual Force page. So those are the different scenarios we have at the action level. And next one is the ID. By default, we can keep the ID there. It's an identifier name. So on the button, we will say that the name of this button is for example, the name is like you will say that this is a save button. Now say ID equal to save button. So you can specify that. You can specify that. You can specify. Now take a notes of these few commands. Attributes on the command button. Okay, now let's move on. Now on same Visual Force page, I'm going to add a button, right? Only new thing which I'm going to do is adding a button. Now let's go to our Visual Force page. In this Visual Force page, I'm going to add a button. The button has to be within the page block. Within the page block. Now, if you go here requirement, I have on the page block. On the page block, I have a button. Now, if I add a button here, now let's go ahead and add a button. Now, this is the page block. Within the page block, I'm going to add a button. Now, can I add a button outside of the button? Yes, you can add a button wherever you want, you can add it, but let's add it in the page block. Now let's say here apex colon, I have a command button. Command button. I have a command button. Now command button is also a self-closed. Command button, we have discussed that it is a open and close. You can also make it as a self-closed. You can make it as a self-closed. So whenever you are adding a command button, you might not need a close visual force tag separately. Close visual force tag separately, you might not be needed. It is a self-closed. Command button is a self-closed. In case if you want to add a open and close, you can add it. But it is by default self-closed. But in case if you want to add it here, now this is the open and I wanted to add a close. You can add an open and close. But in case if you want a self-close, if you want to make it, the reason why it is a self-closed, because in between the command button, we are not going to add anything. We are not going to add anything. Now let me show you that. So command button within this, it is expecting the some parameters. Let's add a action. Action equal to, I need to give merge fields here. I need to specify the merge field. Here I need to specify the merge field. Now how to specify the merge field? We will talk about it. Here I need to provide merge field. And then I need to add one more tag which is called as a value. Value equal to, I'll say new button. I'm going to add a new button. Now here it is a merge field. I need to add a merge field. Now how can we add a merge field? How can we add a merge field? So merge field is nothing but, merge fields are nothing but to display the standard reference fields. To display the standard reference field, we use a merge field. Now here, I wanted to use a Salesforce standard button action. I wanted to use Salesforce standard some button action. Or I wanted to take a Salesforce standard field. Like in Salesforce, we have an object. We have an object and we have a fields. Now, for example, I wanted to display the field on the visual force page. For example, I have a field called name on the account. On the account object, I have a field called name. Now I wanted to display this name value into the visual force page. How can I display? I need to definitely refer the account and then dot, I need to take a name of it. Now if I simply give this account dot name, system will not understand. System will not understand. What we have to do, we have to add a curly braces starting and also at the end curly braces. And after the curly braces, you need to add an exclamation. You need to add exclamation. Curly braces, exclamation, and then whatever the account name is there, that account name. If you add it within the curly braces, system will think that, okay, there is a standard functionality or a standard field. They wanted to use, or developer wants to use the standard functionality within the Salesforce, or developer wants to display the standard field value or object field value. Could be an object custom field or a standard field, whatever it might be. From the object, they wanted to display the field data into the visual force page. In case if you have a field, another field you have, for example, you have a field called active on the account. Right now, this is a custom field. This is a custom field. Even if it is a custom field, also you can add it into the curly braces, exclamation, account dot active. So basically, whatever the on the object level, whatever the data is there, whether it is on the standard field or whether it is on the custom field, if you want to get those values directly from the object. If you want to get those values directly from the object, so what you can do is you can use curly braces, exclamation, object dot field. Similarly, I wanted to call the button. Similarly, we have a Salesforce buttons are there. What are those buttons? New button, save button, cancel button. These are the Salesforce button. exactly whatever the behavior is there or whatever the functionality behind these buttons. Same way, I wanted to use the same logic or same functionality. I wanted to use it in the Visual Force page also. In that case, what I can do is curly braces within that exclamation. Then I'll use the save. I'll use the save. I'll use the save button. I'll use the save. That means by default Salesforce functionality, I can use it. So merge fields are nothing but if you want to use the standard reference field or standard functionality behind those buttons, if you want to use those exactly same in the Visual Force page, then what we will do is we will go with the option called merge fields. We will go with the option called merge fields. Now, format of the merge fields is it always starts with the open curly brace. It always starts with the open curly brace. Along with that, it has a exclamation point. After the curly braces, you need to add an exclamation and then followed by, if you want to add a button, for example, you have a cancel button, you have a save button. If you want to add these buttons on the Visual Force page, then you can display the name of the button on the Visual Force by specifying the save, curly braces, exclamation save, curly braces, exclamation cancel. If you want to refer the field, for example, you have an object and the field name, could be any field name. Now you wanted to display that field data on the Visual Force page. So for example, you have an account. Within the account, we have a name. So what you will do is the format is here, curly braces, exclamation, object name, dot, what are the field name is there. Dot is mandatory here. So what it does, it will take the curly braces. So as soon as the Salesforce view this curly brace, that means these are the existing data they wanted to use it. Curly braces exclamation. And after that, as soon as Salesforce, whether if they see that there is a save button or there is an object name here, as soon as they found the object name here, they will try to identify if this name is already available in the Salesforce object. If it is already available, this object in the Salesforce, after that there is a dot. That means they wanted to go for a field. Now they will go for a field and try to find out in the Salesforce object, do we have this field in the object? If there is a field, then it will try to execute it. Then after that, we have a close brace. So the logic will be always, merge fields are always start with curly braces, exclamation, and then if you want to get the field object, so object, and within that, whatever the field data you wanted to bring it, you can bring it. Or else if you want simply, if you're talking about the button on the command button, you wanted to add the functionality of the save button. You can add it, save here. You can add it, save. Right? So this is how Salesforce will understand. Now, few example for the merge fields. Now take a notes of it, then we will see the syntax. Yes, custom objects also you can use it. For example, you have an object called hiring manager, right? So if you want to bring the data, you wanted to display the hiring manager name onto the Visual Force page. So you can say here hiring manager, hiring _manager __ C dot, you have a field called name. So whatever the data you wanted to display it, you can use that. Even custom objects also you can use that. Now we will see those concepts further going on. For now, why we need a merge field is we need a merge field for the button. So that's the reason we are talking about it. Shall I move on? So few examples for the merge field syntax. So if it is an object name or if it is a field name, so this is how you will give it: curly braces exclamation account dot name, curly braces exclamation account dot phone, curly braces exclamation contact dot name, curly braces exclamation contact dot mobile, curly braces exclamation lead dot name. Right? These are the how you will refer the object name. If you have a custom, it will be custom object name and custom field name. Similarly, if you want a standard Salesforce button, then you will say curly braces exclamation new, curly braces exclamation edit, curly braces exclamation save, curly braces exclamation cancel. So if you use this, what will happen? Salesforce will understand that, okay, they wanted to use the standard Salesforce functionality of the save button. Whatever the save is happening is, and that's the same exactly we wanted to do it. That's exactly we wanted to do it the same. Right. Now let's go ahead and see how can we add the merge field into the action. Now, for example, I wanted to add a merge field. Let's take a save button. Let's take a save button. So I wanted to add here save, and my merge field is, I'll say here curly braces exclamation save, curly braces exclamation save. Right. So value is, now this is the one. Now here, are we adding between this open and close? Anything are we adding it? We are not adding anything in between that. So that's the reason command button is a self-closed. Command button is a self-closed tag. It is a self-closed tag. We need not to add anything between the command button. So whenever you have some text you wanted to add between the open and close, then only you have to take the open Visual Force tag and close Visual Force tag. But in case if you do not want to, if you do not have anything that you have to add between the command button is just simply displaying the button. We need not to add any more text within the command button, right? So that's the reason it is a self-closed. It is a self-closed command button. Now, once we added the command button, there is an error which we are getting it. It must occur between the tags. It must occur between the tags. That means when you click on a button, when you click on this button, there should be some action is happening. Either you are inserting a record, or you are updating a record, or you are saving a record. In this case, you are saving the record. That means the new data is getting created. Whether it is happening or not, it doesn't care. Visual Force does not care. But as soon as it sees that command button, that means there is some action is happening on this page. Whether you are updating a record, or whether you are editing a record, or whether you are creating a record, or you are deleting a record, it doesn't care. As soon as we add a command button, or as soon as we add any input, right? So it is expecting that there is some inputs are going to happen on this button. There are some inputs or some DML operations are going to happen on this. That means there is some execution, some insert, some update, some delete, something is happening on the this page. Whenever you know that there is some inputs are given to this page, or there is some execution is happening at the back end, whenever there is an execution is happening back end, then we have to go for another visual force tag, which is called as a apex colon form. We have to use the apex colon form. That means apex colon form is nothing but whether you have a within the page, if you have a button or you have some text field, you are entering some text field here. You have some text field. As in that you have a name code here, text field. Wherever it is required, the user interface. If your visual force page is required user interaction, your visual force page is required user interaction. User need to click on a button, user need to add a name here. Whenever it is needed the user interaction, then you need to add between the one layer, between the page and whatever you have a page block, within that you need to add a one more layer, which is very important. You need to add a one more layer, which is called as this one more layer is called as a apex form. Apex form. Now this is, we have to use apex form. You cannot directly add the user input. Whenever you need a user input, you cannot add on to the apex page. Between the apex page and whatever the data or page block or command button or whatever is needed, between that section, you need to add a layer. That means immediately after page, you need to add the tag called apex form. Immediately, you need to add another tag which is called as a apex form. So apex form is basically, it's kind of a layer. It's kind of a layer which is built on top of the page. Once that layer is implemented on top of it, you can implement anything, which is, when I say anything, if you need a user input or to enter the text details, or if you are clicking on the button, whatever the user interactions are there, all the user interactions can be happen on top of the apex form. Now here apex form is nothing but it is a visual force tag. It has an open and closed visual force tag. This is a section of a visual force page that allows the user to enter the input and then submit. That means user interaction. Whenever you need a user interaction, you need to add within the apex form. Take a notes of it. Done. So let's move on. Now what I'm going to do is, now we needed the user interaction here. After the apex page, I'll add apex colon form. Now it has an open and close. Now whatever the data we are implementing, everything should be within the apex form. Control A, Shift Tab, Control S. Now if you observe this, initially we having apex page, then we have a apex form, and within that we have a apex page block. Within that we have a command button page block section, and you are closing the apex page block and you are opening another apex page block. Within that you have a page block section, you are closing the page block, and then you are closing the apex form, then closing the apex page. This is the structure of any visual force page, right? If you needed the user input, you must go for a apex form. Now it is, there is no issue. In the problems, I cannot see any issue here. Right now, it is saved perfectly fine. I cannot see the star mark here, right? I cannot see the star mark. Everything is perfectly saved. Now I'll click on the preview button. If I click on the preview button, what is happening here? My save button is displaying here. My save button is displaying here. Now I wanted to bring this save button in the center. I wanted to bring the save button in the center. You can apply the style also. You can apply style by including the style. You can adjust the button to display here the button. But instead of applying a style, instead of going for a CSS, is there any other way that I can use my command button to display in the center? Now, Salesforce has provided, in case if you want your button either to be displayed in the center, top, or to be displayed bottom, right? Even sometimes what happens is, now instead of displaying in top, now right now I'm saying is my button has to be displayed here, or else it should be displayed end of the page block. End of the page block. What are the end of the page block is there? End of the page block, I wanted to display. Now this is the end of the page block. Here I wanted to display the button. Here I wanted to display the button, or else only on top I wanted to display center. In that scenario, in that case, what we can do is we have another tag which is called as a apex colon, which is called as a apex colon page block buttons. Page block buttons. Salesforce has given, because sometimes what happens is we are spending too much of time on this type, adjusting the buttons. So what Salesforce has given is, initially it was not there, later they have added this page block button. Page block button is a visual force tag, and by using this apex colon page block button, you can display a set of buttons with the pre-built styles. What are the pre-built styles are there? By default, Salesforce has a style, right? Now, if I click on this, now if I go to the Salesforce, if I open any record, and if I click on inline editing, if I click on inline editing, what is happening? By default, button is displaying at the bottom center. Now, if you want to apply similar kind of a concept, if you want to apply similar kind of a concept, all buttons should be displayed center. Now, if you want to use that, then what we have to do is we have to go for a visual force page tag called page block buttons. By using this, we can implement it. Now, there are a couple of attributes on this page block. So ID, you know the ID, we just need to have to mention the identifier name. Now, along with the ID, there is another attribute which is called as a location. Location is where do you want to display these buttons? On top of it or on bottom? On top or a bottom? The area of the page block where the button should be displayed. Do you want to display on top of the location or bottom of the location? Right? Only two places are there. Either you can display on top or a bottom. Now, next one is a on click. On click is nothing but if you click on that anywhere on that page block button, if you want to execute any logic, you can execute it. These are the three attributes right now. Right, take notes of it. Then we will see how to add a page block buttons.
Ma'am, in the ID attribute, the description is almost page block button, right?
Yeah, you can mention that ID equal to page block button. Now let me show you that. Now take a notes, we will add the ID. ID is basically, it's any name you can give it there. Why we need the ID is just for a reference. If somebody wants to call this particular button or a particular page, in that case, you can use that reference page, the reference name. Okay, taken, done with the notes. Okay, so decoding of the page block section, definitely we have an open visual force tag and close visual force tag, and within that apex is the prefix namespace, and then you have a component name which is a page block button, and the attributes are, one of the attribute is a location. Now the attribute is a location. Now let's see how to implement this. Now let's go to the visual force page. Now what I need is, I have already command button is already there. Command button is already there. What is the page block role is? Page block role is just to display whether top of the page center or bottom of the page center. That is the role of the page block button. Now what I'll do is, within this command button, now I'll say here apex colon page block button. Page block buttons. Now within this page block buttons, I'm going to add a command button. What I'm doing is, I'm adding the command button. Within the page block buttons, I'm adding the command button. Now here I'll mention the one of the attribute is called as a location. Location equal to top. Click on save. Is displaying the center. Right. Similarly, if I say bottom, it is displaying the bottom of the page. Bottom of the page. Now, for example, let me add a few more here. Let me put the top and few more buttons I'm going to add it. Now save, cancel, delete. Right, few more things I'm going to add it. New. Here I'll say cancel, delete, new. Let's click on save. Right. Now it is displaying the save, cancel, delete, new. All the buttons are automatically coming in the center. Now, in case if I do not add a location, control save. By default, it is displaying on the top and bottom. By default, it is displaying the top and bottom. On the page, it is displaying the by default top and bottom. Now, in case if you specify only display on the top or only display on the bottom, then you can say here, it will display only on top. Right, so here I'm giving the ID equal to, you can specify any name. Let's say that page buttons. Right, like this I'm going to specify. Now how to reference it, we will see that later, because for that we need to understand few other attributes and few other tags we need to understand. Now this is how I declare the ID. So now this page block reference name is a page buttons. Now this reference name is this block, what are the page block button is there, this button reference name is page buttons. Now anybody wants to call this button, they can call using the page buttons. Now how to call it, we will see that later. Any questions on this so far today session? So today we have discussed about page block section, right? And we have discussed about the command button. We have discussed about the form. page block buttons, and the merge fields. Now let's see the questions. Can we write a page block section outside of the page block?
No.
No.
No. Next one is, what is merge fields? Let me
Call
give
the
them.
standard fields or standard values from the
different
object.
fields.
Right. Now these are the options. Which one?
Second one.
Second one.
Second.
Yes. To display the standard written fields or to display the standard Salesforce button. Now, what is the merge field syntax to display the standard save button? Out of this, which one is right?
Second one.
Third one.
Merge field syntax to
Save.
display the standard
Third one.
Third
one. See.
save is the right one. How can we display the Apex command button tag as a pre-built styles? Now I have a command button, but I wanted to display that button by using the pre-built styles. Now which one do I need to go for it?
Page block button.
Page block button tag.
By using the page block button. Fine. So the homework is assignment. You need to implement a Visual Force page. Now Visual Force page, you have a career objective. Career objective. In the career objective, implement here more details. Now it should be a more details, and the save button should be displayed on top center. And here professional experience, education, technical skills, project achievement. Project achievement. Take a notes of it, and I'll give another assignment. Practice whatever I have explained in the class, as well as this is the homework. Both you have to do. Take any notes. Okay. So another assignment. Now, if you go to the classic view, and let's open any record here. Now, let's take here. Okay. Now, pick up these logos. Contacts, and here you will be displaying the sections here. Within the object. Here, contact information, one section. Here, one section, contact information. And then here, open opportunities. And then order details. Open activities. And then you have a case. We will be displaying here the contact information. And this is opportunity information. And next one is the order details. Now this is you have a 3 section within the open activities, task details, and then event details. Right, and the email or communication details. And finally, you have here case details. Right, this is another homework. Take a notes of it. Then I'm bringing the trial head link, practice the trial head link, which is the basics of the Visual Force page. Basics of the Visual Force page. That's all for today.